What is up, my friends? How are we? It is Sunday evening. It is the late night agenda, and as always, I am delighted to be here with you guys. I hope you've had a cracking weekend. Some Premier League action this weekend, albeit not really involving Liverpool, of course, but it does have ramifications, I guess, for us moving on. Manchester City got a very hard-fought victory over Newcastle. Today we've seen United and Spurs sharing the spoils, and of course earlier on Everton 0, Aston Villa 0. So how are we all? I hope you've had a nice weekend, and thank you for popping in. It's obviously a quiet enough week from the Liverpool front, but there are some stories in the media today that will keep us intrigued as we count down the days till next weekend, till the Reds are back in action. So yeah, appreciate you guys being in, and anything you want me to throw in to chat about, please let me know. The 12:30 p.m. kickoff shenanigans look like they could continue. There's a lot of chatter that Liverpool could be selected for the early kickoff. I think it's for the game against Brentford that's scheduled after the international break in March. And if indeed we do get a call for that one, that'll be 4 from 4 for 12:30 after international breaks this season, which is, no matter what anybody says, a joke and something that needs to be looked at. We'll talk about Gary Neville as well, who believes that Spurs could pass Arsenal and Liverpool over the coming weeks if they continue going the way they are. So obviously Gary's lost his damn mind. We'll talk about that and whatever else it is that we want to discuss. Am I worried about De Bruyne? Well, look, what can you say? Like, De Bruyne is a class act. He just is an immensely good footballer. There's no arguing about it. And to see him come back and, you know, score a goal and have a great assist as well in that comeback victory for Manchester City against Newcastle, yeah, it would make you sit up and take notice, of course. But I'm not as defeatist as a lot of people seem to be over the last 24 hours. I've seen a lot of people just nearly just giving up already and just saying, oh, well, that's it now. City are going to do it. I hope the manager and the players certainly don't have that attitude, which I know they won't, because ultimately, right now, it's in our hands. And even if we lost the game, we still have them to come to our gaff, and we still need to sort that out. But look, it's going to be a difficult next few weeks. Arsenal away is not going to be an easy game. You don't know what Chelsea's going to show up at Anfield for the game against them, but I'm definitely not rolling over and saying, here, Manchester City, have the title, because we're on top of the league table. We need to remember that. And Manchester City, I don't want to say fear us as much as we fear them, but they know how good Liverpool are. They know how good a manager Jurgen Klopp is. So don't be rolling over just yet. There's a lot of football to be played, and we're going to get our players back from injury as well. So we've talked about De Bruyne and that influence with Manchester City, but we've got Robbo coming back for us. We'll have Trent coming back. We'll have Mo coming back from the AFCON, Endo. So a lot of twists and turns still to go. But yeah, look, the signs are ominous when you see City starting to get players back and firing all cylinders, but we always knew it was going to be a difficult task, and it is what it is. And also, I can't state this enough, but how weird was it yesterday in that game to see Bob, the young fella, come off the bench for Manchester City and win the game, and see the £100 million flop sitting on the bench and not really getting discussed too much. So that's something I'd like to talk about tonight. At what point do we call him a flop now? Because he's getting pushed out by a young Norwegian kid at Manchester City there when they needed to find a solution to win the game. Guardiola didn't feel like he could look to Jack Grealish to come off there and be that solution. He looked to a youngster and it worked out. Jay and Rob Gaming, have you ever thought about getting a mullet? No, mate, I can't say I did. Even when I had, grew my hair, I definitely did never think about a mullet, mate. No, it's very much not my style of noggin, but appreciate the super chat. Carlos Bob, didn't see that coming. Yeah, it was a tidy finish by the youngster. Give him his credit. It was a delicious ball played in by De Bruyne. Trippier's defending was god awful, and that hasn't been spoken about enough, but the awareness of minds and the calmness for that little 1-2 motion from Bob to score, it was a well taken goal. De Bruyne's goal though was just peak De Bruyne, wasn't it? It's just, how many times have we seen that with him? And what I couldn't believe was the Newcastle defenders just backing off him and just saying, go on then, because it's De Bruyne. You don't say, go on then, you get out and you close the kid down. If Liverpool won 3 trophies, not including the Prem, would I be happy? Yes, that'd be a great season. I mean, how spoiled would we be if we won the Europa League, the FA Cup and the League Cup and we weren't happy about that as a season? You always want everything, of course, but yeah, man, that would be a decent season. The Prem is the goal this year, though. Normally I'd say Champions League, but we ain't in the Champions League, so for me, yeah, the priority has to be winning the Premier League. Salah scored today. Yeah, he did. 2-2 draw. I was very surprised. I checked in early doors and Egypt were 1-0 up. Mohamed the goal scorer and Mohamed Salah with the assist. So I thought, 1-0 up there. That should be straightforward. They should go on and win that. But they were pegged back to 2-2 against, was it Mozambique? So, a lot of work there to do. But basically top three get through in the African Cup of Nations, or at least a lot of the top third place finishers go through. So there's only 6 or 8 people get knocked out in the first group stage. So I think they'll get through that. A bit of a differing of fortunes for Endo and Japan. 4-2 victory for them. Endo captained them to that win, and we'll talk through his stats from the game as well. So yeah, they've both settled into the tournament, but thankfully no injuries, and that's all I'm really looking at for that tournament, to be honest. Unfortunately, the Prem, it's over. No, it's not. I'd hate to be in a dressing room with you, mate, if that was the attitude. Now, look, I don't know you, Patrick Kloss. I don't know if you're a Liverpool fan. I don't know how old you are. I don't know anything about you, dude. But I find it very strange that anybody who's ever been around football or sport in general would give up because Manchester City beat Newcastle 3-2. Just doesn't sound right to me. And like, I hear a lot, and it's a fair point, about Manchester City being great in the second half of the season and Manchester City being able to do this and that, and they are, but so are we. Like, we're making out like we've had the best start to the league ever and it can only be downhill from here. No, we haven't hit top gear yet. We haven't played our best football yet, and we're still at the top of the table. So Manchester City need to worry about us just as much as we need to worry about Manchester City. I do think it will come down to us too. I'm being really honest. I don't see Arsenal being just there yet, unless they can do something in this window that would give them more firepower. Spurs, I think, will have inconsistencies, but will win some games because they are a good team with a good coach and lots of attacking options. But the Gary Neville stuff about talking about Spurs being able to pass Arsenal and Liverpool and be the challengers for Manchester City, he needs to just shut up. Honestly, I'm sick of listening to Neville and his nonsense. Anybody who doesn't look at the league with a rational brain and think that if there's going to be somebody to be closest to challenging Manchester City, it's going to be Liverpool. Because it's always Liverpool. It's only ever Liverpool. Because whenever anybody else goes in a title race with City, they fall away and capitulate. At least we've history, muscle memory of fighting them all the way to the end. And as I said, we haven't played our best football. So I'm not giving up on it yet. Not at all. Brett said, average United ball knowledge fan, to be honest. He's just I'm sick of him. I'm sick of his little nonsense biases. Even for the Jota penalty and the other penalty that we got when we played. It's just like, oh no, fuck off, Neville. Both of them were penalties, and the first one was absolute stonewall penalty. I'm just sick of listening to him. I'm sick of listening to all these gobshites just say what they actually want and wish to happen. You know what I don't hear? I don't hear any of them when they're fawning over Manchester City raising the huge caveat of the fact that they might be cheating. They might be proven to be cheating. So rather than tell us all how great they are and how brilliant De Bruyne is, which we know, at least caveat it and say they could be pulling the wool over everybody's eyes in the league. They could be stopping other people from winning. The media baffle me these days. It really does. Right, let's get into talk about the potential of another 12:30 kickoff for a little bit, and then we'll talk about some transfer talk, because we've been linked very, very strongly over the past few days with a 20-year-old centre-back from Colombia. There's been more talk for Liverpool over the last 24 hours with a move perhaps on the cards, or at least being recommended to be on the cards for Frimpong of Leverkusen. That won't happen in the January window. City get away with crowding the ref all the time. No other team gets away with it. Yeah. I don't... See, here's what I can't understand, right? I get people not wanting Liverpool to win something. I get that. I can get people thinking we're arseholes or whatever. I've no problem with that. But what I don't get is people almost wanting City to win stuff. I'm baffled as to why people aren't still questioning the whole scenario. Like, we've seen Everton punished. Chelsea could get punished. Forest were in a position where they were very close with FFP. We've seen Arsenal, Manchester United, and Newcastle all come out and say they might not be able to sign players in January because of the profit and sustainability rules. They're trying to adhere to them. So we see all these things and we see clubs trying to cut their cloth accordingly. But never any mention that there's still 115 possible cheating charges for the financials against Manchester City. And how long do we have to put up with it? How many years have to go by before it's actually resolved? You know, it's 5 years. It's ridiculous. So I don't know. I know you're sick of me banging on about this, but I don't get it. I'll never understand it. Chelsea won't get punished. They're innocent. I don't know where to go with that. And I also never suggested that Chelsea were going to get punished. I did say that they were one of the clubs that were walking a balancing act. And Chelsea, they are in a bit of trouble in that regard, regards to the losses over the past 3 years. And that we'll talk about that in a while because there's some numbers I have around that. So, right, look. On the stuff around the 12:30 kickoff, there's a lot of stuff going around to say that, where is it? I'm going to read this out exactly as it is. Is this the one? So this is from an Arsenal fan, and name's Mo Arsenal 86. If you follow this gentleman on X, they said Manchester City versus Arsenal. We moved to Sunday 31st of March at 4:30. The post then goes on to say TNT Sport, who still have 2 Liverpool picks remaining, want Liverpool versus Brighton on Saturday, March 30th at 12:30, making it 4 out of 4 in Liverpool early kickoffs after an international break. Now, to be fair to this guy, he goes on to say, this isn't fair on Liverpool at all. It's a disgrace. There's still a chance Sky might take Liverpool for the Saturday 5:30 or Sunday 2 p.m. as part of Super Sunday, but Sky will want to save as many Liverpool picks for the run-in as possible, and TNT wants this game. How is this going to be allowed? Like, it's a disadvantage. It is a clear disadvantage again. And we're not making this up anymore. Like, 4 international breaks, and 4 of them will be followed if they pick this game as Liverpool getting the early kickoff after the international break. It's a joke. And I don't get it. I don't get how they can get away with it. I don't get how the Premier League will look at this and go, Liverpool aren't being put at a disadvantage, because clearly we are. Now look, we have to wait for the confirmation of it, but it just feels like the forces are at work to try and make it as difficult as possible for Liverpool to actually compete. TNT are BT Sport. TNT Sports are what BT Sport are now known as. Once they were taken over by the Turner network or whatever it's called. 12:30 kickoff should be scrapped. So I don't mind 12:30 kickoffs in general. I think a lot of people understand the 12:30 time slot, but it's just the ones after the international break that cause the real problems. So I don't mind if Liverpool get a 12:30 kickoff on a regular week, and I don't think Jurgen Klopp minds if Liverpool get a 12:30 kickoff on a regular week. But for 4 times in 1 year, and we've already done twice as much as the next team below us, it feels like we're certainly being put at a disadvantage, whether intentionally or not. It is a disadvantage, and it's unfair. Why does everybody give us the 12:30 kickoff? It's not everyone. It's only one TV company, TNT Sport, formerly BT, because that's the slot that they have to pick. So if it isn't picked by Sky for any of their kickoff times, and of course it isn't part of Prime, then TNT Sport can make these picks. And they've picked Liverpool, as you've seen, in the 3 international breaks that we've had this season. So I get it. Liverpool are popular. Liverpool will draw eyes to the channel. They've paid a lot of money for the kick or to broadcast Premier League football. I get all of that. But, you know, there's also other clubs that should be put into this situation after an international break. Everton to be found guilty again tomorrow, said Whitehammer. Look, I actually feel really bad for Everton at this point. If Everton end up getting another points deduction, 2 in one season, I think it's nothing short of a disgrace. I'm not going to lie, it's a disgrace. They've already had to try and fight back from a 10-point deduction. A second one just feels like they're taking the piss. Not Everton, the league, the FA, the Premier League. Because how can they sort 2 of them out very quickly, punish Everton twice, and 5 years later we're still talking about Man City? Do you think missing this transfer window is a problem? So I don't know what to expect, Blur's Milk, in the transfer window, mate. And thank you for your super chat. It's hard to really know and have an opinion on what way this window's going to go, because I don't know if it's definite we aren't going to do business. Same way I don't know it's definite we are going to do business. So the only area I'd like us to strengthen in with regards to it being a priority is centre-back. But if we can't strengthen the centre-back, other than that position, I can understand maybe while we wait till the summer for a lot of the other ones. I got to be honest, I can. You know, if it's for a full-back, I think we've enough cover now with the fact that Bradley's coming through, the fact that we've got Owen Beck as well to cover on the left side, and the fact that Robbo and Costas are coming back. I think we're okay there. Trent, of course, an option. Gomez can switch on either side. But if we do business, I'd like it to be a centre-back. And we will talk about a 20-year-old Colombian centre-back in a moment. Do you know what, Craig? Thank you much, by the way. Must say what you see. Thank you for your super chat. Said, do you know what, Craig? I bet today City do get punished will be when Liverpool aren't challenging anymore. I get it's a complex situation, Mutz, for the Premier League. And I do get that it's a very difficult investigation with a lot of problems in place and a lot of forensic accounting involved and a lot of other bits and pieces. So I get it. I've somewhat got sympathy for the Premier League in that regard with what they're up against, with the money that's going to be put behind the defence of Manchester City and all this stuff. But what I can't get my head around is that they don't think this looks bad for the league in general, regardless of the outcome. To have an investigation going on this long and hanging over a club while they're just mopping up trophies left, right and centre, and it could all be built on a foundation of lies. I don't get how they think that's good for the league. The uncertainty of it. It looks like there's one rule for one set of clubs and another rule for another. And rightly, questions need to be answered here. Because if you get Everton having 2 points deductions in one season, for very regards to the comparison between the amount of charges and the types of charges, what are they going to do with Manchester City then, if they find them guilty? And what happens to the whole Jurgen Klopp era, as an example, for us as fans, where we've had this once-in-a-generation manager and potentially been, not just us, but I only look at this from a Liverpool perspective, of course. We could be shafted in the time where we have a once-in-a-lifetime manager, and that whole period could have been destroyed by a football club that have not played by the same rules as everybody else and have had unprecedented success. That, to me, feels like the biggest case of cheating ever in sport, potentially, if it's proven. And the longer it goes on, the more people are desensitized to the situation and start to say to themselves, they're going to get away with it. Of course they're going to get away with it. It almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it shouldn't be. Everybody, every set of fans, every football club's owners, everybody should be glaring at this situation and said, this needs to be resolved. Mo off pens now, missed another for Egypt recently. Look, that's a conversation, I guess, for Klopp and the team to have around with Mo. I've never been overly convinced by him taking penalties. So for me, I'd have no issues changing penalty takers, and that's not... See, people are going to take that as an insult tomorrow. I just think there's better penalty takers at the club, and I think he's had long enough with mixed results that, yeah, maybe talk about changing penalty taker is a fair conversation. Right, so I did promise you some conversation around the centre-back. So a couple of different outlets here coming from Colombia, and the president of Talleres Cordoba has said that Liverpool and Brighton and Hove Albion are following Colombian centre-back Kevin Mantilla, who's 20 years of age and have been doing so for about 4 months, while also asking for reports on the player's physical attributes and his medical background and stuff like that. So that sounds like a very Liverpool type signing, and Brighton as well, to be fair. But there's concerns about work permits and whether, if you did make the move for this kid, he'd be able to get one. And I'll move on to talk about that now in a second. Just gotta find my notes, 1 second. So yeah, this article says, it appears Liverpool and Brighton will have to be patient in the pursuit of Mantilla, giving CA Talleres have no interest in cashing in on the Colombia under-20 international before the January transfer window closes. Goes on to say, well, Liverpool are yet to add to their squad in this winter. Jurgen Klopp has refused to rule out the possibility of reinforcements being brought in before the January transfer window slams shut. So look, I don't know anything about this lads. But he's a Colombian under-20 international. Looks like in this image he captains them. It's the right age profile for us. Again, I would imagine it's a reasonable transfer fee. And it makes a lot of sense. You can look at this and think, if we can assume that the player's going to be okay, because we wouldn't be scouting him if we hadn't got attributes that we think would be beneficial to the club, then I can see a way that this transfer becomes realistic, because it's going to be a lot less than the likes of your Inacios, your Antonio Silvas, or even Marque if you were to go back in Crystal Palace at the end of the season. He's playing at Talleres Cordoba, so Tallleres is Talleres, and then Cordoba in Colombia. But then there's concern about him being able to get a work permit. So I don't know if he meets the criteria for a work permit, but I would imagine that if he's been looked at by Brighton, they must be at least open to the possibility that he could get a work permit. What have we got? Why does Sky hate us? Because we're the biggest club in England. The Sky hating us bit, I don't know. I'm confused by that statement. Look, I wouldn't say anybody hates us. I certainly don't want to go down that route. I'm just confused by the amount of pundits that don't speak out. Maybe they're afraid for their jobs. I don't know. Maybe they don't give a damn. But it just feels like there's not enough conversation in the media about what's hanging over Man City. And that everybody lauds them and says how great they are and talks about how formidable they are and blah, 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 blah. But again, no caveat, no what ifs, no... The whole thing could be built on a foundation of lies. It's just let them keep mopping up trophies. Let's all blow smoke up their arse. Let's tell them how brilliant they are and say nothing about the skullduggery that could be going on. Did you see Tyler Morton's screamer against Norwich on Friday? Actually, I did. I managed to catch the end of the game live. And look, it was a nothing goal with regards to the outcome of the game, because they were already 2 down at that point, and that brought it back to 2-1. But unbelievable strike from Tyler on his left foot, top corner. Actually, I won't lie. I was watching the game to see how Carvalho was getting on in his first appearance for Hull. But wow, what a strike from Tyler Morton. And yeah, great goal. Craig, not only are they cheats, but everyone loves to... I'm not going to say what you said. Everybody loves to nosh them off. Let's go with that one. Yeah, and what gets me about it is the weirdness of other clubs' fans. Oh, I'd rather City win the title than Liverpool. Why? You'd rather potential cheats win the title over a club that you just don't like. And I get you don't like us. No problem with that. But you want cheating to be rewarded over a club doing it in the right way. So I look at the situation and go, I don't want Arsenal to win the league. I want Liverpool to win it. But if we didn't win it, I'd be far happier if Arsenal or Spurs won it, because as much as it would suck we didn't win the league title, and as much as I'd get bantered to death, at least I'd be able to look at those clubs, their fans, and have some respect and think, we lost, but they were just better and deserved it, and that's it. No underlying questions, no shenanigans, just we lost. And that's okay, because it's never been about losing for me. I don't mind, like, I'm not a bad loser as a fan. No one likes to lose, but I will congratulate teams that beat us or pip us to a trophy. I have no problem doing that. That's what sport's about. But I won't congratulate potential cheats. Keep up the good work, Craig. It's great to have a community like this. Thank you, McGurk, man. You're very kind. I was only reflecting, actually, on the last couple of days that I haven't really been working. I've been reflecting on everything a lot. The community, the channel. I'm just kind of taking stock, because I'm trying to push this towards 250,000 subscribers, but to actually sit back and think of what that means, like, it's crazy. And I love that I can pop in here and have a chat with you guys even when it's quiet. We still have over 1,000 people in the chat. It means a lot to me as well. So yeah, thank you for that, man. And I hope you guys continue to enjoy the community, because I hope it's only going to get bigger and better, and we can have new people in and learn some more bits and bobs about each other. Right, so some talk about Frimpong. So there's a piece that says Liverpool and West Ham are going head to head to try and sign Bayer Leverkusen's Jeremy Frimpong. It won't be in January because, like I've said many times, Leverkusen are not going to sell anybody because they're in a title race, and they came back from their winter break in Germany with a hard fought, very late 1-0 victory, which keeps them at the top of the Bundesliga. So they're not going to sell him in January. And I'm almost happy about that. Sounds weird, right? Bear with me. I'm almost happy about it because it gives us time to see how Bradley gets on and to see if Conor Bradley can stay fit. And I want that to be the solution. Not so much so that I'm willing to just bang my head against a brick wall, but it would be the best solution for us as a club if you could bring through, or if Calvin Ramsey manages to come through. So they say in Football Insider that both these clubs are looking at the 23-year-old, and that's fine if we need him. But if we don't, obviously we don't need to look. So I'm okay waiting for that situation. Atikster, thank you so much. That is an unbelievably kind super chat of $50. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. That's amazing. So keep up the good work, man. Love the channel. Love your channel. It's our channel, but all of us. And thank you for that. People's generosity never ceases to amaze me, and it means a lot to us. So thank you, my friend. Is Thiago back for Bournemouth? I heard he's almost back. Even if he was back for Bournemouth, and the truth is at this moment, I don't know one way or the other, I would say the first 2 to 4 weeks of Thiago being back, you're not going to get him playing more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because he's got to build up match fitness, same as anybody else coming back from that long out. If Stefan comes back, same scenario. I think Robbo will probably be eased in as well. So I don't know is the answer, but the more players we have available, the more options the manager has to rotate, the better it is. So the more the merrier. Stephen said, I missed you not streaming. Honestly, sitting there last night, dude, just felt empty, weird. Couldn't even sleep last night because I didn't get to come on and chat with you guys about Liverpool and football. I had a million thoughts gone around my head and I couldn't sleep, and I was still awake at 8 o'clock this morning. So yeah, I missed it as well, man. Trust me. I nearly streamed yesterday, but I was waiting for Newcastle to take something off City, and when that didn't happen, I couldn't bring myself to stream because there was nothing to really be upbeat about, was there? Will Robertson be back for Arsenal? So, in my head, I've kind of penciled him in for that one. Same with Trent. But I think he'll be back in the squad by then. Whether Jurgen deems him ready to start or not at that point, whether he's got enough match fitness back in his legs, we'll have to wait and see. But it is great to know that we're not too far away from Robbo being back, from Costas being back, from Thiago being back, from Trent being back, from now Szoboszlai to come back. The options are there for the manager now, which is great to see. And hopefully we can keep the injuries to a minimum between now and the time that Endo comes back from the Asia Cup and Mo comes back from the AFCON. Hopefully we can keep things ticking over till then. Bruno Guimaraes. AS in Spain have said, Newcastle United midfielder Bruno Guimaraes is believed to have a release clause in his contract worth about £98 million. Liverpool and Chelsea are two Premier League clubs who were keen on the Brazilian and could take advantage of Newcastle's uncertain financial position. AS have reported that there are clubs who are interested in meeting his clause and would be willing to pay it in 3 installments. So they've posed the question, should Liverpool make a move? I'm going to say no. Not £100 million. Not for me. Like, I do rate Bruno Guimaraes as a player. Absolutely. But £100 million for a position that, let's be honest, we're not really in dire need for. I don't see that much value being there because I don't see enough consistency in his game time at Newcastle. Now, we did play a wonderful ball in behind. I think it was for Anthony Gordon's goal, if I'm not mistaken. And there is a player in there, and I do rate Bruno Guimaraes, but £100 million? I think I'd be pretty unhappy if Liverpool paid that, in all honesty. Wouldn't be interested to know what you guys think of it. Do you think we need a CDM this January? No, I don't. Endo has me convinced at the minute. Now, I know Endo's not around for us at the minute, but you were never going to go and sign somebody just for a short-term fix. So, McAllister ain't that guy, but he's going to have to be that guy until Endo's back and Bajcetic is back, or Thiago's back. So I think we're okay. Weirdly, as the window goes on, I'm almost talking myself into believing we don't need to do too much in the window, or at least accepting if we don't do too much in the window. I still feel the centre-back one is a pressing concern, but other than that, I think I'm okay, you know, because we've got a good squad and we do have depth. We've just never been able to really utilise that depth enough this season because of those injuries and I guess the amount of games missed by certain players in one position in particular, which is DM. Didn't you bid that for Caicedo? Absolutely. We bid 115 mil, I think, Dan, for Caicedo. And I'm not saying, by the way, that Bruno Guimaraes is not a wonderful player. Absolutely is. But when we bid that for Caicedo, we thought we could bring in somebody who would solve the position for 7 or 8 years, and we hadn't got Endo or anybody at that point, so we still needed a DM. Now, we've all, I think, been won over in the last month or two by Endo's what's the word I'm looking for? Adaptation into English football. So I don't think there's a need there to spend that much money on a DM when we have a solution. Granted, it's not going to be a 6, 7, 8 year solution, but it gives us time to see how Bajcetic works through his injury concerns as well. Looked pissed on the thumbnail. I really don't know what the for, mate. Those thumbnail pictures were taken. You mean you look pissed on the thumbnail, but you're not pissed now? Well, because it's not my ideal window. I'm not sitting here telling you I wouldn't go out and sign somebody in this window. I absolutely would, and my priority is to bring in a centre back. But I'm just not going to throw my toys out of the pram over it. Is basically where I'm trying to go with this. I'm not going to be the negative voice about it, because I think we've a lot to be positive about with the minute, and I think there's a lot to be excited about with the football club. Could Curtis cover at CDM? Yes. We've seen Jurgen trying that a few times. Now look, we'll have different viewpoints about how successfully he's played there, and I don't like him in there, in my personal opinion. So want to give a shout out to Doug, or the Dugout football channel. You guys may have seen the suggestion to have Sven-Göran Eriksson manage the Liverpool Legends game in March. Well, Robbie Fowler has confirmed that a call has gone in for Sven-Göran Eriksson to manage Liverpool at the Legends game in March. Obviously, sadly, Sven-Göran Eriksson is terminal with cancer and has potentially a year to live or so. So Doug came up with this suggestion on Twitter, I think it was. I think John Gibbons from the Anfield Wrap then thought it was a good idea, and I think it's gathered a little bit of momentum since then. So just wanted to take a minute to say to Douglas, cracking idea, mate. I hope it comes off. I know Doug was on Sky talking about it as well. Well in, my man. Great idea. Lovely gesture as well. And I hope it happens for Sven, because he's a Liverpool fan as well. So, yeah. Well in, my man. Well in. Graven's got to grow into his legs to be a CDM. Gravenberch. How are you guys feeling about Gravenberch? Because the conversation the other day was that there was still a lot of uncertainty about his form at the minute. And I've admitted that I've looked at this slightly differently, because I was very unsure about the signing of Ryan Gravenberch. And then very quickly I realised that those fears were unfounded on my behalf. And then maybe I've been a bit skewed of my judgment, because I didn't want to go and be negative about a player that I was initially negative about, only to be won over. So maybe his form has dipped a little bit, but I still think there's huge potential there for us, and I still think it's value for money with what we paid. Not unusual to take time or to be up and down when you come into a new league, but we got to remember the kid's still young as well. So Not Toira said 6 out of 10. We're all with you, Sven, said LFC Cross. Brev, nice gesture, mate, well in. Mixed bag at the minute, said their Wizzy lover. I want him to be great, but it feels like it's coming up short sometimes, said J Bro. He's not good at the minute, said the Red Baron. I love Ryan, he just needs to get more in game, said Lucas. Unsung said, I think Bruno could be the new Wijnaldum for Liverpool. Look, if Liverpool signed Bruno Guimaraes, I wouldn't be unhappy at all, but I would be at 100 million quid, is basically my point. I don't doubt the man's ability as a football player. I just doubt our need to spend that much in that position. He has no fitness, said the Red Baron. He needs time, said Not Toira again. 8 out of 10 for Brett Young. He's just having a dip, said Luke Almond. Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm glad to see people are open to the idea that it is a blip and that he will come back better. You know, if we can get Gravenberch firing, there's a real top level player in there. Same with Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai's been a little bit up and down recently as well, but Szoboszlai has the ability to be, God, I can't think of another phrase. Excuse me for the comparison, but to be a De Bruyne, to be a, do you know what? Maybe to be an Odegaard at Arsenal last year, to be that player that can score goals from midfield, can set up a lot of stuff, has that drive and pace and power. So as this team develops and grows and gets used to each other, those young connections, your Gravenberchs, your Szoboszlais, your Jones, your Elliots, they're only going to get better. And when they hit their 23, 24, 25, their peaks could be scary. If we can keep them together, there's huge potential in that midfield. It'll take time, but Klopp's got it under control, I'm sure, Craig. He's overachieved so far with this group, in my opinion. You know, and there's a great piece on The Athletic talking about basically Klopp being the difference maker at the minute. And I agree with it. His in-game management has been really good outside of that United game, where it still frustrates the hell out of me, but it is what it is. Yeah, I think we are ahead of schedule. Yeah, and maybe we are overachieving a little bit with what this group have, but it also lets us know what the potential is. And if nothing else, it's let us know that we've got a group that have a good mentality again. A good desire to push through and get the result. And that's the type of mentality you need, even in the future, to go and win European Cups, league titles. Excuse me. And never know when you're beat. The goal with Gravenberch will be for him to develop like Curtis has over a 12-month period while learning the system and getting more minutes in his legs. Yeah, sounds entirely fair. Guitar Junkie, sounds entirely fair, mate. 1 sec, I'm just reading through more notes here really quickly. A few stats, by the way, from Endo's game for Japan against Vietnam. He had 1 assist. He had 91 out of 102 passes to hit the target. He had 2 chances created, 115 touches, 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, final third passes 19, recoveries 12, duels won 6 out of 13, and of course, most importantly, a 4-2 victory, I think it was, for Japan as well. Some stats from Mo from his game today against Mozambique with Egypt. 1 goal, 1 assist, nothing wrong with that. The result wasn't great for Egypt, unfortunately, 2-2. 5 chances created, 1 big chance, 4 final third passes, 2 out of 3 accurate crosses, recoveries 5, and aerial duels 1 out of 1 for Mo. So again, good stats for Mo, good stats for Endo. Slightly differences in results there, but a goal and an assist, nothing wrong with that. I hope you're good and well, mate, said Ballybrom. I'm good, thank you, yeah. I'm always a bit sad when we've got time between Liverpool games, you know. I always fear that when it's quiet, you know, people will head off and do different things in life, and I'm always making sure I can try and be consistent to keep our conversations going even when there's no game for days. It feels weird, this, because, you know, it's not like there's an international break. It's just that the winter break is staggered in the Premier League, so half the teams are playing this week and then we're playing next week and the other half will rest. It's just it's weird having this big gap. So the Ajax coach has confirmed that indeed they are interested in signing our former captain Jordan Henderson. He moved to the Saudi Pro League from El Ettifaq last summer, and again he's looking potentially for a move back to Europe. So I don't know how they'd structured that with El Ettifaq, because of course they paid a fee for Jordan Henderson. It's not like they got him for nothing, so let's see how that figures out. Of course there's been links coming back to the Premier League as well, but the tax liabilities from if he came back to England probably mean that going to Europe makes sense financially in that regard. Juventus were another club really, really strongly linked with Jordan Henderson. I told you before that they have a need in that position. They were looking at Manchester City's Calvin Phillips as well. The break has actually helped us out this time around. It kind of has, David, yeah. Especially around the Trent injury. You know, for Trent to be out for 3 weeks and there to be no game for 11 days, it has benefited us a bit. It has. But that doesn't help us as fans, right? We're greedy. We want more action, more football. Hendocrit. Yes, Hendo the hypocrite. I mean, I christened them Hendocrit a long time ago, so. So, Liverpool's next 5 games. Bournemouth at home coming up next week. Then Chelsea at home in the league. Arsenal at home. These are the 5 Premier League games, by the way. Arsenal at home in February. Burnley at home in February. And then Brentford away, which is an early kickoff, February the 17th. So, difficult enough fixtures in the middle of that. Chelsea and Arsenal. But ultimately, I think we should be okay. We should manage. I'm looking forward to the game against Arsenal, the Emirates, actually. I hope that we can have a repeat performance of our FA Cup victory there. Going to Amsterdam on Friday, going to the Ajax game Sunday, might have to bring a boycott Endo sign. I'm jealous, mate. I'd love to go to a game in the Amsterdam Arena, so let us know what it's like when you go over it. Enjoy it. Mahmood said, thoughts on some fans wishing Egypt to get knocked out early. It's a bit selfish. Also, if it happens, you'll have a frustrated Mo, so we'll definitely need a break to recover and hit form. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I'm not going to sit here, mate, and pretend that I give a shit what happens with Egypt or Japan. I don't. But I do get your point, and it is a valid point. If they underachieved or if they didn't do as well as he hopes in the tournament, it'll be weighing on his mind, I'm sure. Maybe there'll be external pressures from the Egyptian public about, you know, believing they should have went further in the competition. I don't know, but I don't know where the balance is in there, though, you know, because unless you win it, you're probably not going to be happy. So, I've got to be honest, I always say this, when people go away to play with internationals, I don't give a shit about their countries, mate. I couldn't care less. I care that the players come back uninjured, and yes, I want the players to be happy. But my concern around all this is Liverpool Football Club, so the quicker we can get our boys back, I guess that is for the better for us. More nervous for Bournemouth away than Arsenal away, said Brett Young. I can see that. Iriola has them playing some good football, so I can kind of understand where you're coming from. Are they cherries? Yes, they are the cherries, yes. If we keep winning till the City game in March and beat City, we'll win the league, in my opinion. So, think of it, this is the way I'm trying to think about it. Let's say, for instance, we did drop points before the City game. So let's say we went to the Emirates and let's say we got beaten at the Emirates by Arsenal. It's still in our own hands if we beat City at home. So we do have a little bit of wiggle room, but that game against Manchester City at Anfield is huge. And a victory there, I'm not going to say it wins us the league because I'm not that arrogant. But if you do stay unbeaten again to that point and beat them, I think that's going to just give a belief to the group that they will get over the line. They will see it out because everyone expects City to just be this juggernaut now that's unbeatable, unplayable, and De Bruyne and Haaland are going to come back and they're going to fire on all cylinders. But it's still in our hands. And I love that. Because whilst it's still in your own hands, you know you control your destiny. Gary Neville has lost it. I'm fed up of him. Honestly, I'm sick to death of listening to, hearing about, and getting his opinions rammed down our throats because they change up and down depending on what humour he's in, depending on how he views football this week. Look, I like listening to Gary Neville a lot of the time talk about football because he has some good insights and I love what they do on Monday Night Football. But I gave up when we played Newcastle and for both of our penalties, Neville couldn't quick enough undermine us. Even on the first one, which was a stonewall penalty, he tried to undermine Liverpool again. And then Jota won. He was basically calling Jota a cheat. And I couldn't listen to it. It's bullshit. And he should know better. Sky should know better. And if he can't be unbiased, he shouldn't be on Liverpool games. You know, I can understand him being biased for United games, same way I understand Carragher being biased towards Liverpool for Liverpool games, but he's not even saying what he's seeing rationally. Because I guarantee you, if that's United in that first penalty against Newcastle, the foul, the sliding tackle foul, 100% nobody's questioning the penalty. There's no conversation about it maybe being a bit iffy. But he couldn't keep down the anti-Liverpool shit. And it bugged me. Because it impacts how other people view the game. It impacts how other people think about Liverpool. It impacts how opposition fans turn on us. But then I have to hear him almost jizzing himself talking about Manchester City. But I don't hear him questioning what's going on at Manchester City. I don't hear him giving a fuck about the good of the game then. Because he's talking about regulators in football. He's talking about ownership. He's talking about clubs doing the right thing. How about you doing the right thing? How about the people that are paid to be representatives of football fans and tell us what's going on in the game? How about you actually grow a backbone and ask the challenging questions? Because then maybe we'll have some credibility and then maybe we'll listen to your anti-Liverpool nonsense. But again, like we talked about with referees, a lack of consistency of decision making, a lack of consistency of thought process. And also, I feel like Gary Neville thinks he's the Prime Minister of football or something. I've got to be careful what I say because I don't want to land the channel in trouble, but he's doing my head in a lot lately, and that's my own opinion on it. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but I went from having respect for Neville to just being angry towards Neville. Sky should have kept Graham Souness, said Ingle. See, even at Souness, he had some anti-Pogba and other agendas that, even as a Liverpool fan, I sat back and went, some of those takes aren't great. Craig, if Manchester United are the biggest club in England, why don't they get the 12:30 spot? I don't know the answer to that, mate. I don't know. And I don't know why, if all these people profess to care about the game, your Ferdinands, your Nevilles, your Mika Richards, your whoever, pick a pundit, doesn't matter. I don't know why they aren't pointing out the glaring obvious deficiency that we're being asked to play with when we're given these kickoff times after an international break non-stop. Because I guarantee if Manchester City had been given 3 or 4 12:30 p.m. kickoffs in a row after international breaks, Guardiola would lose his damn mind. And there would be conversations in the media and everybody be like, oh yeah, he has a point. This makes sense. But when it's us, people just can't get past their dislike for us. And it's like, it doesn't matter if the numbers show you a pattern. It doesn't matter because we don't like Liverpool trumps everything. And we're just moaners that, you know, have this victim complex. No, we just want a level playing field. Because, you know, we mightn't have it with regards to the financial irregularities. We mightn't have it with regards to the amount of games Tierney is given for Liverpool or the amount of games he's put on VAR. But you would hope we have it for the fucking scheduling of games. But no, apparently that's too much to expect either, to have a level playing field for that. Do I watch the overlap? No, I don't. Not because I've anything against the show or anything. It's just doesn't form part of my football watching time frame, basically. I've nothing against the show, the overlap, nothing at all. But no, it's not something I consume much of. Rio Ferdinand said Dominic Szoboszlai is not impressively, as people are fearing that he's better than Bruno at a younger age. I'm not going to have to read that out again, mate. Sorry. Rio Ferdinand said that Dominic Szoboszlai is not as impressively, I think he just meant impressive, as people see, fearing that he is better than Bruno at a younger age. He's twice the player Fernandes is. He's twice the man Fernandes is. He's better than anybody in that Manchester United midfield and will be one of the top 3 midfielders in the Premier League in the next few years. And he knows that. But, again, you know, I don't see them questioning Manchester City. I don't see them talking about... Look, I'm just sick of the hypocrisy. That's it, really. Because, you know, how whatever part of the woke scale you think you fall on, and we're all on different points of it. Some stuff I would consider myself fairly liberal about. Other stuff I might be fairly close-minded about. But what I can't come to terms with as a consumer of sport is having Sky, BT, BBC, ITV, anybody telling us what's expected in society, telling us what sport needs to do, telling us what's right, what's wrong, what to include, who not to include, how much of something to include, and all these other things that they want to preach to us about, but at the same time turning a blind eye to a huge scandal that is engulfing English football. How can I take morals from this group of people and these establishments that don't actually have the same morals to begin with? That aren't putting up the same fuss over one of the biggest potential cheating scandals ever in sport. But I'm supposed to be told what I'm supposed to believe and what my moral rights are and what the right thing to do in sport is about how many people here. And nah, fuck you. You don't get to preach to me when you don't live those same morals you profess the rest of us. And also with football clubs that claim to be moral bastions. They're not. They're as moral as their bank balance. and how it suits the clubs and how it suits the narrative and how things are spun. So, yeah, until these people actually walk the walk, I don't want to listen to them talk the talk because it's all just empty. It's bullshit. Bro, you've mentioned City so many times now. Can we just talk about our club? I have spoke about it, mate. I've spoke about so much over the last hour. I've given you the stats on Salah's games. We spoke about the transfers. We spoke about the 12:30 kickoffs. We spoke about Jordan Henderson. We spoke about Tyler Morton. We spoke about Fabio Carvalho. We spoke about transfer business in the summer with Frimpong. I've spoke a lot about it. But here's the thing, mate. Somebody has to keep talking about it. Now, I get you, it might be a bit frustrating for you if that's constantly me. I understand that. I get where you're coming from. But it's a big thing to me. And fairness in sport is a big thing. So, yeah, I get it. I'm over the top of it. I hear you. But it's a big subject. Like, somebody has to fucking talk about it. Who do you think is going to win the Champions League and the Conference League? Villa for the Conference League and City or Real Madrid for the Champions League. Potentially maybe Bayern, but I don't think they're at the same level. I think there's a few weaknesses still in that Bayern group. But yeah, I would say unfortunately City or Real Madrid are probably the two for me that look most likely. I agree with you, Craig, but I guess we have to wait until 2025. I hear you, Stephen. And maybe I'm a bit salty, mate, because, you know, I had to listen to so much praise after that comeback from Newcastle against City yesterday. But I think it comes up sometimes because I'm talking about other things like a potential punishment for Everton or whatever, and it just triggers me. So I get you. I'll try my best. I hear you, and I will try my best to do it, but it really does rile me a lot. Sorry, guys. I'm just checking through my notes to see if there's anything else. Oh, right. Yes, there is a story I haven't spoke to you guys about regarding Liverpool today. What was this? Sorry. Liverpool are reportedly eyeing a move for Sunderland goalkeeper Anthony Patterson as they prepare for life without Caoimhín Kelleher as number 2. This piece says that Kelleher is contracted to Liverpool until 2026 and that Liverpool will probably be looking for about £20 million for Caoimhín Kelleher. And then this article in the Mail saying Liverpool are looking at Sunderland shot-stopper Patterson, who's 23 years of age and is really impressed in the second tier of English football with them. So I guess the question I have firstly to you guys is, have you watched much of this Patterson guy? Because I'm going to be honest and say I don't really watch too much of the Championship. I know Michael Beale has gone in at Sunderland, and I know obviously Joe Bellingham is at Sunderland, but what's this keeper like? Is he somebody that we'd be alright with if he came in as a number 2? Because obviously Caoimhín Kelleher's situation is it's a delicate one because, you know, he's at the point where he wants to go play or probably needs to go play first team football regularly. So that makes sense. I think the price point Liverpool have on Kelleher is probably about right as well. But yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts on this kid. Sunderland goalkeeper, give me Mignolet and Pickford flashbacks. I hear you, the Mog. I hear you. Don't know who he is, said Hassan. He's good, not going to lie, said Creative JB. We're linked to a Colombian defender. Yeah, well, we spoke about that already, mate. A 20-year-old centre-back from Talleres Cordoba, I think it is. Us and Brighton linked with him. There's work permit concerns if you were to try and bring that transfer to life. You know, will he have enough experience or does he hit the threshold to be able to come to the Premier League and play straight away? And there is concerns about that. I missed a super chat. Did I know he? Sorry, mate. Let me scroll back up. I did indeed, mate. You're right. Craig, got a question. Canade or Araujo? Canade, because I think he has a higher ceiling. And I think Canade will become as close to Virgil van Dijk as we can. Araujo's good, but I love Canade. My only worry about Canade is, are we going to have repetitive muscle injuries with him? But other than that, his leadership skills, his trajectory, his physicality, and his age, it all points to a phenomenal career ahead of him. And thank you for your super chat, sir. And sorry I missed it originally. That's my bad. I don't know. Oh, sorry. I know I don't want to sell a dream here, but in the event that Mo left this summer, surely we'd be in the race for Mbappé, even if Real is more likely destination, said Stephen Roska. So, Stephen, I can't lie. I'm absolutely of the same mindset. And I'm of the mindset that I'm almost convinced we're talking behind the scenes now. Not because I've got information, I want to make that very clear. But I think we'd have to, right? We don't know what's going to happen with Mo. We can all have our own thought processes and what we want to happen with him. But we don't know yet. But we do know that the Mbappé situation will get a resolution over the next few months. Whether it's January, whether it's the end of the season. His contract, unless he triggers that 1-year extension with PSG, will be up in the summer. And as it sits right now, seems to be a 2-horse race. Even if one of those horses is very much the favourite in Real Madrid, it does seem that whether it be through other people talking about Liverpool, because do you know what's interested me? We've seen L'Equipe, we've seen Le Parisien, we've seen other outlets talk about Mbappé and Liverpool. But you know what? Unless I've missed it, we haven't seen. All the normal doom and gloom merchants of English journalists rule it out straight away. I've not heard everybody say it's ludicrous. I've not heard Joyce, Ornstein, Pierce, Queeve, O'Neill. They've kind of been quiet or said it's unlikely, but... So that's confused me a bit as well. Like, why are they saying nothing? Or have I just missed it? And they have said something and they've said it's not going to happen. But without those very glaring knockbacks, I don't know, it makes me believe it. You know, if you add all the things together, the 5-year relationship between Liverpool and Mbappé, you know, keeping good terms, the flying stuff around with his family previously, the fact his mother's a Liverpool fan, and Jurgen Klopp factor, and the situation with Mohamed Salah, and, you know, we don't know what his future is. It would have to be a perfect storm, but I don't know what the weather forecast is like. Let's put it that way. Can we talk about a top 5 wish list to replace Salah? Yeah, that's as good a conversation as any to have. So, for me, looking at Salah, if we had to replace, and again, you know, we're only talking about this to potentially replace him. So, top 5 list. And we're not going to talk about Mbappé in this list, so let's push that aside for a second. Elise, got to be on the list, right? Really high up on the list for me. Bone is on the list, but nowhere near that 100 million price tag that has been mentioned about. Bakayoko, I guess, will probably make the list for a lot of people because he's been strongly linked and is touted as a real young talent for the future. After that, you're kind of into the realms of guesswork, probably. You know, it's not going to be Kvaratskhelia. It's not going to be Rafael Leao. It's not going to be Matoma. For varying reasons, some of them side of the pitch that they prefer to play on. Pedro Neto, I think the injury concerns around Pedro Neto, he's a footballer that I think most of us would agree has a really high ceiling. Definitely has the fire in his belly. And I mean that in a positive way. And lots of things to like about Pedro Neto as a footballer. But whilst we'll say to each other, nobody can replicate Mo's numbers. I think we'll all agree on that. What we can at least hope to replicate is Mo's What's the word here I'm looking for? Reliability of being fit and available to play. So Mo's a machine. So whether he's in form or not, he's almost always available to play. And that ruggedness and reliability and robustness is one of huge factors for me when you look at somebody to replace him. You can share the goals around and stuff, but that availability has been key with Mo. Other names, Florian Wirtz. Yes, absolutely. Florian Wirtz would be one of the best options. Kubo, you have to take the Real Madrid thing into account with Kubo. You know, will they trigger their buyback option and then try to sell him to make a profit? But yeah, Kubo could be another realistic alternative. Leroy Sané is just, I'm going to say this now, he's just not good enough. And I know people might laugh at me for that, but I watched Leroy Sané again playing with Bayern yesterday, and I would probably smash my TV watching him, because he does stuff that's brilliant, and then he does stuff that is almost astonishingly bad, astonishingly average. And then you've got his fitness, and then you've got the age, and then you've got, I just know for Sané, if we were ever going to sign Leroy Sané, it should have been when he left Schalke before he went to Manchester City. Now, no, I just, no. Elise, look, Elise is, to me, if I had to put money on it, I'd probably put it to Elise as the most likely, realistic, closest we can get. Premier League proven, right age profile. Yeah, I think, look, I'm very fond of Elise as a footballer, but you have to look at his struggles this season so far with a couple of little repetitive injuries and muscles and strains, so you'd have to keep that under consideration as well. What's happening with Todibo? So there's two thought processes with Jean-Claire Todibo. There's the one that says he's good mates with Ibrahima Konate. You can look ahead to maybe that French pairing in your centre-back moving forward. Right age profile, good footballer. But you've got to talk about the situation with the ownership of Nice and Jim Radcliffe, and the fact that he now owns 25% of United, and the fact that United will need a centre-back, and the fact that he's been linked with United for a long time. I don't know if, from a PR perspective for Radcliffe, that would be a big shit-to-bed moment if Liverpool signed him. Or I don't know if the player would just go, I don't really care about what happens with Radcliffe, I want to move, and if I'm going to move, I want to move to this club, whether it be Liverpool or somebody else. So if we could get past the Radcliffe stuff, could be a good fit. Could be a fine player. Great mates with Ibu as well. And then you'd have, you know, three relatively young centre backs there with Jarell Kwanzaa, with Ibrahima Konate, with Todibo. You know, you'd have Joe Gomez as your experienced 26, 27-year-old. Yeah, I'd be fine with all of that. And then, of course, Verge there as your senior pro. Radcliffe won't sell anyone to Liverpool. That's my initial thoughts on it, mate. That is my initial thoughts on it, that it would be too much of a PR own goal for Radcliffe to be seen to do that now. Unpopular opinion, but we're more likely to win the Premier League than the Europa League. Leverkusen are the best team in the Europa League on current form. I don't fancy our chances against them. I'm finding it hard to believe that Leverkusen are a better, more formidable opponent than City. So, with that in mind, I'm going to say I disagree. They deserve respect, Leverkusen, of course, but they're still beatable for me, especially over two legs. So I would say that we're like more likely to win the Europa League than the Premier League, because I don't find them as formidable as like the City squad that would be up against. Craig, for your player ratings videos, why don't you rate the refs as well? Somebody suggested that actually recently, and we are going to implement it. I might have to remove some of the subs though, because the videos drag on a bit if we're putting in all the players, all the subs, Klopp, and the referee. But it is a good shout to put the referee in, because there have been times I would love to rate your referee's performance, trust me. Bundesliga doesn't exactly have much competition within it though. Well, look, it's a technically proficient league, but I would agree it's not as strong a league as the Premier League, not by a long way. And I don't know. Look, I respect Leverkusen as a club. I respect Alonso, the job he's doing there, but I don't have any fear for them if we played them. Be a good game, but I mean, I certainly wouldn't be shitting myself over it. You want to be looking at the Europa League and thinking, this is ours. We're the best club in it. And we are, in my opinion. So we got to go and do what we should do, which for me is win that competition. Leverkusen are the only team in Europe in the Major League that still haven't lost yet. And we wouldn't have lost in the Premier League if we weren't fucking shafted by referees and VAR. We'd be currently unbeaten in the Premier League. So I don't. So they're unbeaten in a weaker league. Fair enough. That's great, by the way, but it's all 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. We've got to match them up against us, player for player, and I think we've a better squad. Is it a job audition for Alonso? So the club that worry me the most about Alonso is actually Bayern, because I think Ancelotti will see out his contract. We know Klopp will at least see out his contract. I don't know if Tuchel's going to be at Bayern Munich in 2026 when Alonso's contract's up and Ancelotti's contract's up and Klopp's contract's up. I don't know if he'll last that long. So I feel they will naturally look for Alonso as their next manager. And then, if they got him, if they sacked Tuchel, look to lean on Alonso for the Florian Wirtz signings, or maybe for Frimpong or another fullback if they lose players themselves to Bayern, or if Bayern lose players to Real Madrid or whatever. So that's the one I'm worried about more so than Real. I think that job will come up before any of the others. The quality of teams Leverkusen play are awful, to be honest, said Jack. If you could pick any winger attacker from Bayern that you would consider for Liverpool, I'm going to be a shithouse and say Musiala, and you're going to tell me he's a midfielder, but I'm going to tell you that he plays in a very attacking role. Scored, I think, at least one, maybe it was two. Was it two? Was it 2 goals he scored? I think it was 2 goals in Bayern's 3-0 victory. So yeah, I'm going to be a shithouse and say Musiala. Zinedine Zidane would be the masterclass at Liverpool FC. No, he wouldn't. 1, he doesn't speak English, and 2, he bangs a Real Madrid too much for my liking. Zidane doesn't strike me as the Liverpool way. Doesn't come across to me as the type of manager for our football club. His CV is phenomenal. What he's doing with Real Madrid, his playing CV, of course, is phenomenal, but it's not going to happen at Liverpool. It's not going to be us. I think his trajectory will revolve around the French national team job, maybe the Juventus job, and I don't know if he'll ever go back to Madrid or not. Do you think that Ronaldo is closer to Pele than he is to Messi? I never got to see Pele play, so it's impossible for me to talk about Pele. If you're to say to me top 3 of all time right now, for me, Maradona, Messi, Ronaldo, in those 3, because I didn't get to see any of the others. Didn't get to see George Best, didn't get to see Pele, didn't get to see Johan Cruyff, didn't get to see Beckenbauer. I know he wasn't great at Bayern, but Nagelsmann still interests me personally. He will be a consideration by the time Klopp comes around to leaving Liverpool. Nagelsmann, I'm sure he'll be a name that's mentioned and spoken about, and maybe rightly so. But he, I think, is in a position now where he needs to choose his jobs carefully, because very quickly he can go from being the hot young up and coming manager to being the man who doesn't succeed at top jobs. That can happen very quickly. I don't know when Thiago and Mojcetic are coming back, mate. I don't know, a couple of weeks maybe, but I don't want to give you a date because they could be fluid and move. You know, we thought the plan for us Thiago to be back a long time ago, but he keeps feeling things in his hip, and that's caused setback after setback, and I don't know is the honest answer. Maradona was unbelievable. I've not seen a player of that calibre since, said the Mog. To me, he's the best player that ever played the game, in my opinion. Messi right in there beside him a second. Yeah, I mean, Maradona. I dare not even think about what Maradona in this day and age would be able to do, you know, if he was managed correctly, lived a little bit of a better lifestyle, and, you know, was more of an athlete. Imagine what that man could do in the modern day. Would you give up the FA Cup and the Europa League if you're guaranteed to win the Premier League? Yes, I would. I think most people in the chat probably would. If Liverpool finish this campaign with a Premier League and a League Cup, that is a great season for me. A brilliant. Like, once you win one of the Europa League or the Prem, and you can add a cup or two domestically to that, that's brilliant. Like, you want to get 4 trophies to play for every year. And if you can bag 1 or 2 of them, and one of the big ones. Because the one that felt really like anticlimactical for me was the quadruple chasing year where we ended up with the domestic trophies. Runners up in the league, runners up in the Champions League. That felt like a real anticlimax to the end of the season. Which is a poor thing to say, because it was an unbelievable campaign that was fine margins, but you gotta want one of the big 2. Where would Thiago start in our midfield if he came back into the team? I don't know if he starts anywhere, to be honest with you. Not for a while yet. Like, even when Thiago's fit, match fitness is a whole another animal. And you heard De Bruyne speak himself yesterday about the fact that he knew he wasn't able to play for 90 minutes. He knew he had 15, 20 minutes in him. He knew his lungs were burning. And, you know, he's been out shorter time? Yeah, shorter time than Thiago. So it's going to take a while for that match fitness to get back where he can play 70, 75 minutes. So I don't know if we'll see that until maybe March, April. Interesting thing about Mbappé is no Liverpool journalists have shut it down. Usually when linked to the player, if it's not true, they come out. That's what we said earlier on, Jack. And I thought, you know, did I miss that? You know, have I just not seen these journalists come out and talk it down? The only one I remember is, I think Neil Jones said something along, and I'm paraphrasing here, you know, it's unlikely, but not impossible, maybe. Something along those lines. And that's probably a fair way to summarise it. What would a Van Dijk trophy lift look like? I've asked myself that question so many times, because we knew the Hendo shuffle, right? And we knew how he lifted the trophy and it became a thing. I am intrigued and I want to see it. I want to see what it looks like. A Virgil van Dijk trophy lift. Yeah, I wonder if he has anything up his sleeve, or if he's like the rest of us would be, maybe practicing at home in front of the mirror. Let's be honest, we'd all do it, right? Use one of the kids if needs be or something. But yeah, hopefully we get to see. Would you sell Thiago this summer? He's out of contract, so we don't have a choice to sell him. Thiago could sign a pre-contract agreement right now with a club outside of England and wouldn't even have to tell Liverpool. So selling Thiago isn't an option. Would I not renew his deal in the summer? Absolutely, I wouldn't. It'd be stupid to renew it, especially on 200 grand a week. Is Mojcetic injury prone? I don't think I can answer. I hope not. I hope this is one of those growing issues that is just a really tough time for the player, but ultimately when he gets through this, it should be fine going forward. I hope that's the case, but I don't know right now. I think it's too young to make a decision on that, if he's injury prone or not yet. It's too early. Most improved player this season. Your vote and Joe. It's a good question, David. Most improved Liverpool player this season. Joe Gomez would be in there. I think Jones would probably be in the conversation. Van Dijk. Van Dijk, if you look at his form last year, to this year, I think Van Dijk's improved a lot. It'd probably be one of those three for me. Jones, Van Dijk, or Gomez. Happy New Year and all that. Top of the tree as well. Thank you, Jay Kismet, man. I hope you're keeping well. I think most of you in the chat are saying Jones, yeah. I can see it. Like he's been so important to our press. And look at the stats as well around Jones with his pressing, his running, his kilometres covered. Yeah, it's been a good follow-on from us, a good end to last year for Curtis Jones. Darwin has gotten worse. Well, the thing about Darwin that I want to just keep reminding people is when he plays, we win. Or at least we don't lose. So we definitely gain something as a team with Darwin Núñez on the pitch. Whether it's opportunities for others, whether it's more chances created, or he's certainly having an impact in a positive way, albeit we'd love him to be putting the ball in the back of the net more. Who's your favourite player in Liverpool right now? It will be Darwin over the coming years. He's going to take my Bobby Firmino love. Right now, Alisson. Yeah, I just love our goalkeeper. I love him to bits. He's just amazing. He's just superhero to me. I love Mo, but I've never really been able to make the same connection with Mo as I have with others. And I think it's because he's almost too perfect. Which sounds really strange, I know. But I've said this before, being honest. And Alisson, look, Alisson's almost in the too perfect category as well. But I think as a former goalkeeper, maybe I'm, drawn to his brilliance. With Mo, I see his brilliance. I respect his brilliance. I respect him as a man. I respect what a good human being he is. I respect all the records. But he's too clean cut. He's too perfect. I like a tainted individual. I like a Bobby Firmino who's got a bit of madness or a bit of craziness in him, or a Darwin Núñez, or a Ronnie O'Sullivan, or a flawed individual is more what I'm drawn to, because it's just my personality trait, I think. Craig, can we take a moment to acknowledge how when everyone was lauding Ten Hag, Daniel Levy saw right through him? I don't get Ten Hag. I was recording a video for Top of the League earlier on, reacting to the 2-2 draw. And of all the teams that United play in the season, Spurs should have been the one that suited whatever the fuck it is Ten Hag tries to get United to do. Because they are a team that leave space at the back for you to counter. And that should have played right into United's hands. And even though they went in front twice, they still allowed Spurs back into the game and didn't pick them off. So against the team, I think, which is most suited to play against Ten Hag, they still didn't find a win at home. I just don't get the Ten Hag love in. I never got it. Go back to when he was, when everybody else was telling me I was wrong and that he was a great manager. I never ever have seen it. I didn't get the appeal. I don't get it now. He's got no charisma. I don't know what his style of football is with this United team. I don't get it. Would you give Alisson a raise if he wanted it? I don't know off the top of my head what his contract situation is. So, until it comes time to negotiate, I wouldn't give him a raise. I wouldn't be looking to just give him a raise randomly. If he was up for renewal now, would I give him a raise? I think I would, and here's why. Because goalkeepers have a longer career than most outfield players. So a 31, 32-year-old Alisson, I think, is comparable to like a 28-year-old footballer from an outfield position. O'Sullivan is about to win the Masters. There you go. Does the 12:30 kickoff time have something to do with winning the Europa League? No, it's got nothing to do with that, Luke, because it comes after an international break, mate. So there wouldn't have been any midweek European games in the context we talk about the half 12s in anyway. Right, my friends, I'm going to call it a night, and I'm going to go grab a shower, and I will see you guys tomorrow. So we'll have a stream at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and a stream at 8:30 tomorrow night. Thank you guys for being with us again today. Thank you to everyone that hit the like button. Please do it before you head off, by the way. There's 300 likes on the stream. If you all hit it before you head off, we can have that number fly up. Also, we're closing in a 250,000, so really appreciate you guys for the support. Don't forget to check out the Clips channel as well, which is absolutely flying at the minute. It's grown really well, so do check it out. Anfield Agenda Clips, where you'll get shorter form content, the best highlights from streams and watch-alongs and stuff like that as well. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Much love. Bye.